Nice to meet you. I would have a printed version of the packet. Yes. Yeah, I think we've got a few extra copies there. There you go. Anybody else? Thank you. All right. Yeah. Start recording soon. Was it on record?
Started recording at your time.
Crazy thing, just automatic.
You can say yes.
Yeah. I didn't miss
Anybody on
does not show anybody trying to join, no.
Okay. I'll call this commission meeting to order on February 19th, 2025. The North meeting of the North Bend Planning Commission. Call order at 6:32 p.m. I'll do roll call start. Commissioner White. Present. Commissioner Stevens. Present. Commissioner Pereira.
Present.
And Commissioner Bovers, Commissioner Beal and Matlock were excused. We had anything?
Yeah, he also.
Okay.
Will be able to be here.
Perfect. So 3 additional commissioners there. Let's go over. Like the next thing would be the opportunity for public comment on non-agenda items. I've not seen any public. Assuming you're not here for the agenda. Just here for my. Okay. So no public for the public comment period here. We'll open and close that at 6:33 p.m. And move on to approval of minutes from February 5th, 2025.
I want to make one note of correction. Hannah, passed this around and we didn't get it online, but Hannah sent some comments around. One of those was that she was at the meeting at the February 5th planning commission meeting, wasn't noted on the minutes. So I made that correction to the this draft on my computer.
You did have a couple of spelling mistakes too. Pereira and Matt Walker misspelled in a couple of places.
Pereira and what's the other?
Matt Walker, the last area that's on notice is he just did a double T.
Okay, thank you.
But no, I have no changes.
Motion to approve with changes. Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor or against? No? Okay, passes 4-0.
Yeah, hold on just a second. Let me
Yeah,
get to you guys. I'm taking minutes.
Hey, we're gonna run a fast meeting today.
Okay, who provided the motion? Second, Samuel. Okay. In second? I second. Thank you.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay, move on to item number 5, introduction of public hearing and recommendation for development agreement to allow first floor residential for Mountain View Townhome and commercial project.
All right, so let me just introduce the overall context, and then I will turn it over to, Phil, yes, Phil, representing the developer, to tell a little bit more about kind of the developer's perspective and benefits that they're promoting for consideration of the development agreement. So this is in the neighborhood mixed use zone. Our neighborhood mixed use zone has a provision that allows residential in a mixed use context. Right now it says second floor and above. This proposal is on a fairly deep lot. And so considering mixed use in that depth away from the primary public street and material street is difficult. And so what the proponent is asking for is a development agreement to allow ground floor residential behind the first row of commercial use. So they're proposing 8,000 square feet of commercial use fronting to North Bend Way, and then a number of residential townhome buildings containing 65 townhomes in 15 buildings. So the purpose of the development agreement is only about that ground floor residential allowance, and then also some timing considerations, phasing the development to require commercial to occur first as a part of the finished proposal, and not allowing more than 35 or 33 units beyond that initial 33 units of residential until that commercial has been started construction. Just to ensure that we're getting that commercial development. The development agreement is not about the overall conformance to the master or to the municipal code. So anything that's not in the development agreement otherwise will be reviewed and needed to be determined in compliance with the North Bay Municipal Code. So design standards, landscape standards, stormwater regulations, frontage regulations, all of that, it will still need to meet the city's regulations. We support the development agreement. City staff supports the development agreement. We believe this is a good mix of uses. It brings more housing that's on the lower end of the market rate. Essentially your middle housing. In the packet, the developers noted the units would be likely going in the 50 to 100% AMI level. That's actually pretty good. The development agreement does not commit them to that to note though. So that is just what they're anticipating with what they're proposing to design. So with that, I want to turn it over to the developer. You can note any kind of additional benefits that you guys feel the city should be considering with the development agreement. Turn it back to the planning commission. We'll answer questions and ultimately we'd like to seek your recommendation on this tonight.
Great. Well, I'm Phil O'Sullivan with PGO Northwest Development and representing this project here tonight. We, for the past several months, been working with city staff, who have been a pleasure, and then to two community economic development committee meetings as well to hear feedback on this plan. And so what we're looking at here tonight is the net of that effort, which is a proposal for the DA for ground floor residential use in the NMU. Just to offer a little context about more of our thought process about this proposal, the site depth is definitely a leader in seeking this change from a vertical integration of those mixed uses to a horizontal use. And in doing the work to maximize the most efficient and best use for this site, we really see this as creating the best benefit to future homeowners as well as the future businesses, because we're kind of segregating those uses in a way that's a little more, it makes a little more sense on the surface. Upzone commercial and bottom residential on the side of this depth. As far as benefits of this project, I think staff did a really good job summarizing this, but up to 65 homes in North Bend that are directly in support of and in line with the updated 2024 comprehensive plan and housing element provides new investment opportunities for future residents of North Bend as well as current ones looking to move into new types of housing. Commercial, 8,000 square foot of commercial buildings providing new jobs and businesses is a pretty significant benefit to the city as well. And I particularly like how these two things work together in a mixed use zone to serve progress toward meeting the city's economic development in general to build and diversify a strong economic base for the city. The project will also come with significant frontage improvements along North Bend Way, just across the street here, which is a significant step forward in realizing the vision of the Complete Streets program, which will one day connect all residents directly to the downtown business corridor. And we're pleased to put this plan together in a way that we think really does a good job integrating the natural beauty of the surrounding area, the existing mountain town aesthetic of North Bend, while also providing all these additional benefits. So we're pleased to have the city's recommendation. I'm here to field any questions that you all might have and to your approval as well.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start actually, Mike, if you don't mind, but so what did the city have envisioned when they zoned it in this way, knowing that there were parcels that were this deep? Do you know?
So, a little bit of clarification on that. Originally, this was a zone that did allow ground floor residential.
Okay.
So that was changed by the council about 5 years ago. the council was interested to see more commercial development, so that limitation was put in place. But certainly with the depth of some of these lots, achieving full commercial mixed use would be difficult.
Well, there's a zone change, right? So there's some other lots that aren't like this that
Yeah.
it doesn't really make more sense for.
Yeah, so I guess then that leads to my next question is, what is the challenge, or what are the challenges of the depth of these lots to not fit with the current zoning? In my mind, why couldn't you have that much more, retail, commercial space underneath all this housing going back into a complex like that? But, business wise, I have no idea what it entails to try to entice businesses to come in and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's one of the challenges, or if you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix of some of those challenges you mentioned, and also I think there's an inherent challenge to just the housing typology that's applied in the zoning as it currently is. Trying to do ground floor commercial with residential above, you're looking at condos, you're looking at apartments, you're looking at a pretty restricted housing type. And the other consideration when you look at that is it's very possible someone will be showing up with a height variance request with something like that. It's also very possible that by the time you got parking for commercial use, parking for residential use, parking for guest residential use, you wouldn't be looking at all that much more commercial use. And you'll be looking at an integration of those things. And our feeling through optimizing the site and taking a look at what the market seems to be supporting and likely to support is this type of housing typology that's integrated in ways it's a little more in line with the way things are.
Thank you for that.
Intuitive was the word I was looking for. A little more intuitive. Sorry, it's late in the day.
Anyone else have some specific questions about it before we move on to?
I think that's one question. First comment is townhomes. I know it's very, that is a market that is trending for affordability. I know the public has said they don't want to see more townhomes. So I think there'll be some feedback around that down the road. But I really like this commercial up toward the street. And then you get into this area and you have this little classic word, the idea of food trucks, and they can really look at and working experience close to the river, having different food options available. But one of the things I was just trying to look at was the feasibility of people living in these 65 units and the number of parking spaces that are assigned to the commercial and plaza court. Like, is that like a definitive number of parking spaces for that area?
So
Or is that subject to change?
it is subject to change because post-development agreement, we've got to go through the master site plan application, and go through city code evaluations. That being said, the most current version of the map that we're looking at is pretty close to the amount of parking spaces required by code. Well,
That's interesting. It is one in the middle.
when you incorporate some of that additional parking along the side of it.
Yeah, I worry about the residents that will soon be occupying these lots. Like, will there be, overflow parking right in their houses? And will that cause frustration somewhere that the city has to figure out how to work with? So just give that as an option to consider as you get further down this time. But I think it looks great.
Thank you, that's good feedback.
The other question, possibly I missed it, but would you anticipate these homes to have garages, or would you just get some, one or two car garage?
Depending on the size of the unit, one or two.
So I do want to note, back in the public hearing, we didn't have anybody present for the hearing. However, there was comment received via email, which I forwarded you today. This is a copy of that as well. Ewing Stringfellow submitted this comment. He is an adjacent property owner that owns property immediately north of this site. It's the large, medium density residential zone property. His comment was a suggestion to provide a street access through the property to provide access to his property. So that was considered during the pre-application review for this proposal, and ultimately the city determined that that wouldn't be required on this site because that existing, or that other property has access already off of North Midway and off of Second Street, I believe it is. So that would be required as a part of this.
Yeah, my question, you already answered this related to improvements on the North Endway.
Oh, what was the question again?
No, I think you already answered. So you have to do some improvements on the North Endway, right? Did you?
I was gonna I didn't do a public comment for this topic. Yeah. That was the
Well,
non-agenda,
that wasn't the public hearing?
that was the non-agenda items.
Okay,
So,
okay.
that's why I said, we start with questions for that.
Didn't
And
catch
then we
that.
can comments. So,
Okay,
Yes.
I'm new.
okay.
So, I would say let's open and close the public comment period for this.
Let me just make
There's still
sure
not-
there's nobody again waiting.
Yeah, Jamie emailed me, said Sharika Brewer was trying to get invited, see her on the waiting room. So I messaged for that.
Do you wanna bypass that for a minute and go into our comments first and then come back to it, or?
We can do that.
Okay, let's do that, so we'll leave the public comment period for after we give our comments and more questions.
Another question for commissioners and Mike. Do we anticipate this, if we were to recommend this, do we anticipate other developers saying, hey, you made an exception for these? And why aren't you going to do it for us? And what are the implications there, both, I guess, publicly and then potentially legally? I mean, does it open the floodgates to
No,
some?
No, every development agreement is a contractual agreement rather than an as of right allowance. So it's only considered at the discretion of the council. So, and every development agreement's got its own unique circumstances. Like this has got a deep lot. The council may not support the same thing if it doesn't have that depth of lot.
You mentioned something that they have to build the commercial after they start to build the house. I didn't understand. Can you just explain this?
Yeah, it's just a timing thing, so we want to ensure that the commercial gets built. So in the development agreement, this is the page 24, repacket section 3, effective date and duration. Includes if the developer is not commenced commercial construction and maintained active building permits by requesting regular timed inspections after the city has issued 33 residential permits. No further residential permits would be permitted until the developer is actively starting commercial construction.
Yeah, this is part of the, as Mike sort of said, this is part of the development agreement process where we want to enter into an agreement with developers that are time bound, so not very super long, so usually like 5 years. And then also have within the agreement certain milestones the developer has to reach so that they can reach their goals, but also the city can reach their goals as well. Because the last thing we want to have happen is, it's just all residential, there's no commercial. So just want to make sure that we can kind of reach a kind of agreement with the developer that we can both achieve our goals. So that's part of why this was put in here as well. And you'll probably see this in more development agreements that come forward to planning commission with shorter durations and more milestones for the developers. The premise was to try and not put us in the same situation Cleella is currently in, so we can make sure we can enforce the agreement.
I've got comments, but I'm the chair, so I get the last. Anybody else?
And I just wonder why 33 residential permits, why this number?
We've tried to go to 50%. You can't do 32.5.
Okay,
No, we're kind of excited about this project because as Phil mentioned, it kind of hits some nice price points in North Bend, especially for the middle housing. So one of the things we've been hearing from some of the major employers in and around North Bend, say Stockholm by School District, Outlet Mall, those types of employers, is that having a price point like this allows, a family to buy into North Bend, which helps with workforce retention, also workforce recruitment in the area, which is a big deal. And frankly, also brings more families into North Bend, so that helps with the existing retail component, especially downtown. So we see this as a nice project to help kind of get us on the right track. Plus, it does provide a nice fiscal shot in the arm to North Bend. I think it's around $3 million in impact fees. So it helps us true up our finances long term.
Thanks for bringing that up. Is there any provision if the developer does not sell the homes at the suggested price points and they decide, you know what, actually, you know, even though we projected this, we're gonna sell them all for 800,000 plus, and then this idea of potentially getting, you know, housing goals is just.
There is that potential risk.
Okay.
The converse of that is binding the developer to certain price points. And if the real estate market changes, it can make it infeasible for the project. So
But based on the project they're proposing, you go ahead these price points, because there's other things you can't take into account, like, you know, tariffs and, you know, rising construction costs, material costs, all that kind of stuff. So.
But the lack of parking might be pricing down, so.
Could be. If I can ask you a quick one before you for this items, I can't remember the name of that huge development that's happening off of North Bend Way.
So, yeah, right.
Yeah,
zone.
Yeah. So that's those are townhomes, and I think there's some condos in those. But they are like, they've only started building a few of the lots they're going to be developing. And are we selling a lot of those houses? It feels like I get, I feel like I get a red pin push every single day. It looks like the exact same house, but as long as people are actually buying townhomes.
Yeah, generally before they're even down there.
That's so cool. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's great. They're definitely there's a lot higher than I think people were anticipating, so.
So Phil, your townhome proposals are gonna be so much smaller than the ones that are being built out there?
Yeah, the mix of units is the mix of units, and that those price projections are really based on where our location is and where our timing is right now in the market. And yeah, markets will change. In this direction, that's what we see it as investments.
I've been doing this for a long time now. Every time I come to one, I come to a deal with an idea and a sense of what I like and don't like, and then somebody says something and it's different perspective, it's nice. I think Commissioner White mentioned it is, and to add on to that idea of what the zone was planned for when they initially made this. With non-residential first floor, you conceivably would have, and to your point, not as much as you might think, but there would be a lot more commercial involved in sticking to the code the way it is. You know, you can write up that depth, whether or not it's feasible or not, that's a whole other question, but at the code as is, we'd have a lot more commercial being built than what this is proposing. Personally, I'm okay with that. I think I really like my initial thought, but I really like this idea. I think that when you talk about the movement of that from verticality to horizontal, makes a lot of sense. I think when you look at the plan, it makes a lot of sense for where that is. What we want to see from North Bend Way, and commercial in the front, putting the residential in the back is fine with me in that sense. As a commissioner and as the council, eventually we'll have to discuss is how much does that really match what we want out of what the code is already saying. The DA in front of us seemingly is just, do we allow this single first floor residential or not? Usually with DAs, there's more of a give and take, it seems like, at least in my experience with DAs. There doesn't seem to be a lot of takes in this case. It's giving them the ability to do this at the residential first floor, and then we're not really getting anything out of that. Seemingly, do you guys have an opinion on that?
I guess what you're getting is certainty of what's product.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
I'm
potential.
okay with it. I'm just asking. I want to put that out there. That this is something that we're saying here that with this DA, that's not happening. Typically, a DA is they're just getting something out of allowing it. Yes.
Well, I would say one thing, you know, in terms of give and get, I think the time duration of the DA is something that we were able to get out, and I think Phil was able to agree to that. So it's a much shorter, tighter term duration, basically. And the fact that we're able to, you know, set a sort of a kind of limit or a wall, basically, that 33 residential units have to be built. And then he needs to basically get the commercial element going. If that doesn't get going, then we kind of hold it there until he is able to. So I think through that negotiation process, we were to get that. I also think too, the product and the price points that residential, the townhomes are coming in at is a good one for North Bend, so that can help us sell long term.
I think it's gonna be a harder sell if this, we're talking about single family homes going in the back. But I think that to the point where we are making an attempt to get to that missing middle, the, lower price point is great, and it is helpful for the city, and something we are trying to do out other places. Why don't we use it here? That's all I have.
No, that's the problem.
It's a pretty small thing, I think, like I said, going into this, I like this idea. I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that is what we're getting up here, laid out there. Is there currently, I didn't look at this, the imagery, based on Euleen's comment here, is there currently access through those lots somehow?
There is not,
I think so.
sorry, it's hard to see. Probably easiest to show on the map here. This is the property
Right.
that Ewing owns, and these right here.
Oh,
are
he's
the
talking about that
properties.
lot, so I thought you meant his field.
So what he was suggesting is that we provide a public road through the applicant's property to provide access back there.
Gotcha.
However, there's already access point here and access point off of Second Street, and this isn't so tremendously large that we need an additional.
Okay. Well, anyone else have any comments or questions? Then I think they are looking for a motion here.
Oh, wait.
Oh, here. This is why you don't skip it. This is why- Hey, did we get it published?
She has not come back. I suspect it was maybe for the,
Sure.
the presentation maybe for us.
Okay, well then I'm gonna open and close the public hearing with lack of public hearing, from 6:58 PM. And move on to looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve that development.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Fitzgibbon,
Second?
second from Commissioner Pereira. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those not in favor?
I'm sorry.
So-
I didn't catch that.
Fitzgibbon and Pereira. Passes 4-0. The next item is adjournment, so. Anything else for the order, I guess?
Yes, just a note that we do have coming up on March 25th, it's called Jurassic Parliament training. So it's essentially on parliamentary procedure for the council and for the commissions. So we'd love to have you guys there. I've got confirmations from some of you guys already, Joe. I didn't hear from you. so-
I'm planning to come.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that's fantastic. It'll be from what I hear, it's a very interesting presenter, so it'd be good, even though it's not necessarily the most engaging subject. This is just a copy of Gaswalk's planning commission procedures, so Jamie updated, you can probably send it to you, but she provided a copy for you guys for the procedures that you guys updated.
Thank you.
One more note, I'll be going to that prosecution meeting next week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Your calendar.
Yeah, it's not.
Mike, do you have any like deadline for remember the meeting that we had with people from that development next in Tanner regarding the change of the parking or remember that we have a discussion there, we had a meeting at the city council chamber there. And they requested, and then I proposed that to change the drawing, remember
Oh, yeah.
the plan, yeah.
Yeah, there was River Run, they were. John had proposed that maybe to ease some of their concerns that we could potentially add
Public
hash marks
Yeah.
to private green
Oh,
spaces.
yeah, the zoning.
Oh, yes, we did make that correction. So, from legal standpoint, we didn't need to actually bring that through the public process because it's in the context of a Scrivener's error. Just a change to the map that didn't actually change allowances or anything legal concerning somebody's property, it's just noting some properties were private property.
Yes.
So we've actually made that correction and it's the one that's on the website.
Oh, it's already done?
Mhm.
Okay, have you already informed those people that they requested this? Remember that,
We didn't provide notification of it, but
it should be nice to, just to,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It would be nice to, there was a pretty heated.
yeah.
I think we're probably gonna hear about it at the shoreline workshop.
I feel like I missed something, so I remember this.
You don't remember that?
Yeah, it
It
was,
was a meeting that we actually had in there. It was-
We don't have to go through it.
yeah, the land use element. Before we took it to council for approval, some of the green spaces, and
Yeah, that's
they
big.
construed that the green spaces were public when they cut it.
This area here,
Yeah. Sure,
they just requested to change the type of,
so you just, you're not having change.
Yes.
And that change had to apply to all of the private. Private spaces.
Right, yeah.
It wasn't just.
Within our parks, open space and public facility zone, we just noted which properties were private.
Cool.
awesome, thank you.
Thank you all very much. It's a pleasure.
You don't have to do it.
It's feeling better.
For the recording, we can just say, have a good night. At
Commercial, there was.
7:03.
Sure.
Maybe.
Just eager to, start shopping.